Hey everyone, it's Finn here with a review for Final Fantasy X and X-2 HD Collection for the Nintendo Switch 2. I want to start off by thanking Square Enix for the code and the opportunity to check out this game that I first played in 2001, and then a couple years later was X-2. So, it's honestly been a while since I played it. Yeah, 2001 for Final Fantasy X, and X-2 was a shockingly, 2003. Back when it only took 1 to 2 years to come out with a brand new Final Fantasy game. But, that's no longer the world we live in. So, I played the originals when they first hit the PS2. I never played any other versions that came out. So, the PS3 remasters, the ones on Vita, the PS4 version, the Xbox, the PC, the Switch 1. Skipped them all. I'd already played them, right? And the memories live fondly in my head. So when I got this code, I was like, you know what? Maybe it's time to see just how the games live up to my own nostalgia, and B, to just today's standards of games. And, what I found might shock you, or it might not. It all really depends on what you expected from a remastered collection of a 25-year-old game. So, Final Fantasy X, I feel like has the same cachet for a lot of people as Final Fantasy VII did. It was a lot of people's first Final Fantasy. It was the first one on PS2, like 7 was for PS1. First one with voice acting. It was a whole nother level of technology than we were used to coming off of 9. And it did very well. It was huge. I mean, jokes about different dialogue lines aside, like the ha 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 scene, or, was the sphere grid a little too much? But 10 did a lot of really cool things. You start off, getting introduced to Tidus, who now I know is named Tidus, I think because of the Kingdom Hearts, but before we all called him Titus, and if you didn't, you were a liar. He is sucked into this world of Spyra that is constantly under threat of a creature named Sin, meets a summoner named Yuna, meets a whole crew. They go on a world-spanning adventure to try and stop Sin, and also to play water soccer blitzball, which is a fun mini game in its own right. It's not going to beat Triple Triad in Final Fantasy VIII for me, but blitzball was fun. It was kind of cool, globe trotting around, recruiting your own team and playing the game. It didn't do much, but it was still fun. It was a really nice detour, especially when you consider it against a lot of Final Fantasy X's infamous mini games to get all the ultimate weapons, like the lightning dodge or the chocobo race, all those fun ones that are still memed to this day because they were just so egregious back then. But Final Fantasy X stands the test of time, and a lot of that owes itself to the battle system and the sphere grid system. The battle system being a very cool twist on the standard turn-based, where you have a turn order. You can freely swap out your party members at any time because different characters are good against different types of enemies. Tidus is good against agile enemies. Wakka is good against flying enemies, and so on and so forth. The sphere grid allows you to highlight and exemplify each character's best attributes to your own whims. They all have something that they excel in, and using the sphere grid, you can kind of tweak them further. And there's a lot to it. There's a lot to the sphere grid. All in all, Final Fantasy X still stands up. There's a reason it's still so beloved. There's a reason it's been remastered and ported a bajillion times. And it's because 10 is good. 10-2, I think I came to in this review with brighter eyes than I did back then. I remember distinctly just how flabbergasted so many people were for the first direct sequel to a mainline Final Fantasy game, and it felt like such a drastic shift to what we expected. The battle system got completely overhauled, and I will say the battle system is the shining light of this game. Final Fantasy X-2 is a very colorful, bright game, graphically very nice to look at. The battle system goes a little more action-oriented than Final Fantasy X does, where time never really stops. Enemies can attack you while you're looking at stuff. The dress grid, or the dress sphere grid, it's cool. It's basically just Final Fantasy V's job class system, but really vamped up, right? The garment grid instead of the sphere grid. You get dress spheres that you can change in the middle of combat. Whether or not you love the Sailor Moon style change sequences is up to the person. To me, I think a lot of people were harsh on this game because it was so tonally different and just vibe different than Final Fantasy X was. And we got the Charlie's Angel aesthetic between Riku, Yuna, and the new character Pain. But I think even in a world of today where K-pop and J-pop has exploded in popularity and been much more mainstream and accepted instead of in 2003, it still feels out of place to have an Uematsu soundtrack replaced by like J-pop tunes. It feels weird, even though it fits the vibe of the game. It just feels off for me somehow. But I did enjoy it a lot more this time. I remember not really enjoying 10-2 very much when it first came out. I never played the international release that had all the extra content at the end, or the tower that you could climb. Any of that bonus stuff I never got to play. So it was really cool to experience it this time. Basically, as a whole, 10 and 10-2, they didn't change much. It's still the same game, but I want to focus the rest of this review on just talking about what makes the game so improved. Because the Switch 2 versions, instead of compared to the other versions, shares the PC's boosters and quality of life improvements that the other games didn't get. So yeah, the game looks sharper and cleaner. There's graphical touch-ups, colors are more vibrant. There's a really cool ability to switch between the original musical tracks and these rearranged versions that I think some are better than the originals, some aren't, but the fact that you can switch between them is a really nice fix. Everything gets switched to like a widescreen. There's better textures. Sometimes that doesn't come across as well in the faces of some characters, but I think as a whole, the game just graphically got a nice overhaul. You got all the additional content from both international versions, so you get like the extra bosses, the Dark Aeons, the last missions and stuff in 10-2, the epilogue stuff. But what I really liked and what I really appreciated and what really helped these playthroughs speed up for me is the quality of life boosters. You have the ability to speed up the game to up to 4 times the speed for battle and like animations and movement and stuff. You can auto battle, so your characters will just fight automatically. You can double encounters if you want to grind faster. You can turn off encounters if you want to just like get through a dungeon area. You can have your HP, MP, and your overdrive meter like refill every turn to just, again, it just makes things faster, makes things easier. It definitely strips away a lot of the challenge of the game, but if you've already experienced it and you're just trying to get to the new content or you just want to see what this new remaster is about, I love that these boosters are in there as options for people. And finally, you have these like stat and item modifiers where you can like get a 99 of any item, you can max out your money, you can automatically unlock all the abilities for characters, you can hide the HUD so you can make things look prettier and just like less cluttered. There's so many boosters and options that they put in here that I think will help older players revisit it with less of a time grind, and newer players that don't want to stress out about how deep the customization and battle systems can get if you want to just enjoy for the story. I always appreciate options in games. So basically, as a whole, 10 and 10-2 still stand up. 10 is, for me, much better than 10-2, but I did appreciate 10-2 more now than I did back then. And I think 20 something years of time in between the quote unquote disappointment of 10-2 not being like what I expected of a sequel, which isn't the game's fault, that's a me bias. But I think enough time passed that I was able to give it a fair shake, and I'm glad I did. But really, the main thing is the quality of life boosters and improvements on this that I thought did really well. So yeah, I mean, the games are already really great, so giving it a 9 as a complete package, I think this is the best HD collection because it adds the quality of life stuff that wasn't in previous remasters of the game. So yeah, good times. Thank you. Peace out.